Living in the world of Armored Core sucks. It doesn't matter which game. All of the Armored Core games have a terrible setting. It basically isn't an Armored Core game unless the entire planet is in an apocalypse and mega corporations control everything and humanity has gone to live underground, or sometimes in the sky. By and large though, the surface of the planet's been rendered uninhabitable and everyone lives somewhere that isn't the surface. They all suck, but there's one that doesn't. One Armored Core game where the setting not only doesn't suck, but seems almost utopian in some ways. And that game is Armored Core Formula Front. You'd be forgiven if you haven't heard of Armored Core Formula Front. It was a PSP exclusive spin-off game that was later ported to the PS2 like a year later. It's a departure from a lot of the other series because it doesn't have big levels or much of an overarching story at all. Instead, it's literally just a big tournament where you go up through the leaderboards until you've beaten everyone. That's it. That's the gameplay. But the simplicity of the gameplay is what lends itself to the game having a setting that doesn't suck. The Earth isn't in an apocalypse, not everyone's dying, humanity doesn't live underground or in floating cities, and you aren't the last hope for anything. Instead, you're the architect of a new team in the Formula Front R League. Architects are the people that make the robots and are the main celebrities behind the teams. And architects are very popular celebrities. The Armored Core fighting leagues are the most popular form of entertainment in the world of Formula Front. So the architects are the main faces of the teams, and the ones that get paid the most, obviously. So there's an Armored Core arena. That doesn't mean much. A lot of Armored Core games have an arena mode, and most of those are in settings that suck. But in Formula Front, this is just a sporting event, and the main form of entertainment in a world that has total peace. There is nothing going on. There's no fighting, there's no apocalypse. Everyone is happy and fine. They're in a weird sci-fi future where robots fighting is all you need to do for fun. No one even pilots the robots, it's all AI or remote control. It's completely safe. At one point in the game, a woman somehow breaks into a match and runs out in protest. No one gets hurt, the match just automatically stops when someone goes onto the field. The closest thing the game has to a villain is a guy who steals other teams' designs and cheats, and then you beat him. Those are the stakes. That someone's cheating. In fact, overall, the biggest problem in this overall Formula Front world is that the best architect has won like 50 matches in a row. So throughout the game, you just hear how he's depressed Saitama style because he can't beat everyone and he's too good at his job. And then when you finally rise to the top and beat him, he's like, man, life is so good now. I'm so glad I don't have a big winning streak. Finally, someone who's at my level. When the worst problem your society has is that your best sports player doesn't have anyone that he can compete with on an even level, I think you're in a pretty good society overall. No hunger, no disease, no wars, just giant robots fighting in arenas for our entertainment. Seems like a pretty good time. I bet you're wondering, if the world is so great, how's the gameplay? It must be a pretty good game overall, right? I don't know. I unequivocally love the game, but that's more because this is the crappy game I played when I was a little kid. I think everyone has that thing in their life, you know, like the thing you played when you were like 9 that's very important to you even though it isn't that good objectively. Formula Front just doesn't have a lot of content. It consists solely of an arena mode, with no traditional levels or anything that the other Armored Core games have, and the arena doesn't even have that many slots. The biggest bracket has only 30 guys, and the tutorial bracket is only 6. In addition to a few side matches and rematches you do, I think you only do about 40 battles in the entirety of the game. You can beat the game in a little under 2 hours of minimum effort on your part. There's nothing to unlock in the game as well. You start with every part unlocked from the start, and I believe it's just a port of all the parts from Armored Core 3. So you don't unlock anything, there's nothing really to work towards besides finishing the leaderboards. But I do think having everything unlocked from the start is a sort of strength. Because all the parts are unlocked from the start, I tend to base entire playthroughs off one single item or build idea. Especially since it's a short game. When I was a kid, if I was on a somewhat long car ride, I would just boot up my PSP and be like, okay, today I'm gonna try to beat the game with the crappy flamethrower that I hate. And then I would. Or sometimes I would do a missile-only mech, or a mech that only uses swords. Or sometimes I would try to make the best possible mech and then have it win every match on its first try. To this day, I've still been trying to make a mech that can win every match on its first try using only the AI mode. And that's the other interesting thing about Formula Front. You don't have to control your mech. You can set matches to AI mode where the mech's AI will fight for you, and then you can fine-tune the AI and what it's supposed to do from an entire menu and system. It's fun to mess around with, but it's hard to fine-tune to actually get anything useful. The most useful part of the AI system are these AI chip things that are the only unlocks in the game as well. You unlock the chips between certain battles if you're hitting certain milestones, and all the chips do is their 30-second commands. So you could say for the first 30 seconds of the match, only jump around and don't attack. And then for the next 30 seconds after that, attack but only use your right weapon. There's a lot of chips and they each unlock a lot of different play styles. So it's a little weird that they're the thing you have to unlock. I feel like with all the parts unlocked from the start, they should have also let you have at least one of each chip from the start. The game is so short that I have never had a playthrough where I unlocked all the chips. And a lot of the chips I don't even know how you unlock them. It doesn't tell you for half of them. The only ones I know for sure is that every map has a hidden fastest time. So if you beat an enemy under this time, you get the new record for the map. But to unlock most of them, you'd have to replay matches against specific mechs and then create a new mech specifically to counter them and beat them as fast as possible. All that work to unlock a chip you may or may not use, and you've probably already beaten the game at that point. Game's biggest strength is that you have unlimited creativity from the start. But its biggest weakness is that since you have everything unlocked from the very beginning, and there are no real levels, there's not really anything to work towards besides beating the game. Whenever I play any of the other games in the series, I'm always put off initially by the fact that I have to work towards unlocking new parts. But then it feels really good at the end of the game when you have a bunch of stuff unlocked and you can finally create the upgraded mech you've always wanted. Aside from gameplay, I think Formula Front's biggest weakness is the story. As I said earlier, it is utopian and nice compared to a lot of the other Armored Core games, but Formula Front really doesn't have a story. Since it's a bunch of arena matches, all the story content is given to you outside of gameplay in the menus. Between matches, you'll get direct messages, news feeds, and then also there's a little banner at the top that will sometimes update with headlines and statistics separate from the news feed. And that's really it. The news feed is mostly for world building and things happening outside of what you're doing, while the direct messages are much more pertaining to your character. There's only like 4 characters in the game, and they're the only people that message you. You have Linus, who's basically just your rival. You go against his team very early on in the game, and then you have like 3 rematches against him. Throughout the game, he'll send you random messages talking about how he's doing, developments in his team, and how he's trying to catch up to you. There's also Diablo, who's basically the villain of the game. His whole thing is trying to squash newcomers and destroy their hope. But then you beat him, and then you beat him again, and then he cheats to try to beat you a 3rd time, and yada yada yada. If you haven't noticed, there aren't really characters in this game but tropes. The last major character is Bren, and he's the person who has the most stuff in the game. He sends you the most messages besides Linus, and he shows up in a lot of the news feeds. Bren is the architect of the best team in the world. His team has been on a 50-win streak, which is the highest ever. Bren's entire deal throughout the entire game is how he's just depressed that he's too good at his job and there's no one who can stand at his level. His mech always wins, and not even the 2nd place person can win against him. About 3/4 of the way through the game, he starts sending you messages about how you show promise, and then news feeds start showing up about how fans are building around your team and how they're excited for you to get matchups with higher and higher people. The big culmination of the game's story is the final match against Bren, where you finally beat his team. According to the game, it broke all viewership and attendance records for the Formula Front, and now you're the top dog in the league. And Bren is no longer depressed. He was thinking of retiring. Now that you've beaten him, he has like new energy and he wants to keep going at it, and he's really excited that there's a new, better, younger generation. The only other characters is Dunain Raving. He's the architect for the number 2 team. He sends you like one message saying he's going to destroy you and prove you don't deserve to be at the top, and then you beat him and he never shows up again. That's it. The game is like 4 characters and they only interact with you through a few messages they send sometimes. The most interesting way the story is implemented, I think, is in the ranked bracket itself. As I said before, the game has about 40-ish matches in total. Between every match, the rank bracket updates and changes. Some teams will win, some teams will lose, and they'll move up and down. Some teams will change their mechs. Sometimes they'll change their mechs to better go against the next team they're against. Sometimes they'll just change their mechs randomly. It's this constantly changing and evolving thing, and if you actually take time between each match to look at all the changes, you'll see a lot of movement. The leaderboard at the start of the game and the leaderboard at the end of the game look completely different. Now all the changes are hard-coded, of course. This is a PSP game, there's an actual simulation going on. But it's still interesting to see, and it's the only way I think the game's story is implemented well, because you'll see in the news feed something about how one team beat another team. It might even have a video attached that shows the highlight reel of the match, and then you go over to the rankings and you can see the team that won is now in a higher spot, the team that lost is lower. It gives the illusion that there's actually a sports league going on and the rankings are changing constantly. Overall though, I really like Formula Front. It's probably just nostalgia talking, but I always enjoy when I go back to play it, and I have a lot more dragons to slay when it comes to beating the game with different configurations, especially with AI only. And I haven't beaten Formula Front International, which is a Japanese exclusive version that has like 50 more battles. Because of course there's a version with 50 more battles going released in Japan. That's just how things work. I just think more people should talk about this game. It's weird to have a game that I grew up playing and really like just not be discussed at all. So maybe this video will get some people to try it out. If you do and you like it, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.